The world is facing many crises: the pandemic, climate change, the war in Ukraine, global inflation. The question is, how can we come together as a community to improve our collective future? Good afternoon, I'm Aparna Mukerji, host of the new CKLU program, Communal Living. Communal Living will be aired bi-weekly starting today. Our next episode will be on December 10th. On a new show, we will be talking about all things community. We'll be looking at the community through different lenses, from science, culture, arts, medicine, literature, business, economic policies, and politics, of course, shedding light not only on the problems, but finding solutions, alternatives to issues such as perils of climate change, unaffordable scarce housing, inflation, economic disparity in our community, and most importantly, we will be talking about the resources that are currently available for people to make a difference in their own lives and the lives of others. With the warming of the planet, increasing cost of food and amenities, is sustainable, conscious living, sharing resources within the community, the solution to our problem. To gain more insight, today I am in conversation with Ms. Laura Blease, the founder and director of a non-for-profit organization, Seeds for Eco-Communities. Laura also works as a team leader for strategic planning and economic policy, Indigenous Affairs, Ontario, based in Canada. Thank you for joining us, Laura. How are you doing today?
Greetings. I'm doing well, and thank you for the opportunity and invitation today from CKLU to be part of your communal living series.
So happy to have you, Laura. It's for those of you who don't know, I volunteer for Seeds for Eco-Communities, and that's how I met Laura. And it's been a wonderful experience, just contributing to the community, working for the environment. So Laura, tell us more about the organization, Seeds for Eco-Communities, and what does it stand for?
So Seeds for Eco-Communities is an Ontario-based not-for-profit organization with a global vision. We were established in 2016 as a means to share information, tools, and resources with people around the globe on how to live sustainable. Our focus is showing others how to live with instead of on their natural environment, and how to establish a respectful relationship with the surrounding lands and waters, as well as the broader community. This is becoming increasingly important with a changing climate and extreme weather events. Our niche at Seeds for Eco-Communities is sustainable, off-grid, community-based living. However, we also provide a number of general resources, including education on how to move the yardstick towards a more sustainable life. This is shared in many forms, including our lesson plans, fact sheets, tip sheets, blogs, videos, and we have a variety of activities for the youth. We also have a global directory of eco-communities around the world, so others in faraway places can connect in with like-minded people. Part of our work at Seeds for Eco-Communities is to remind each other how to work together and how to share in a world that is largely segregated by individual ownership, where almost everything we have and do is monetized in some form or another. It is about ditching the I and mine and moving towards we and ours. There are so many opportunities to improve efficiencies in what we do and how we live, which can result in substantial cost savings while doing our part to have a lighter footprint on Mother Earth.
Very interesting. So Laura, now I do know that you have a wonderful government job. Why would you start a non-for-profit organization? Why would you take time out in your daily schedule and, dedicate it to doing something for the community? Please tell us more about yourself and what led you to start Seeds for Eco-Communities.
I was always passionate about the natural environment, from making mud pies as a small child to loving to be in and around the water every chance I have. This led me to a path where I took environmental studies at school, and I started working at the Ontario Ministry of Environment. Here I helped to support the development of legislation and regulations to help protect the land and water, for over 17 years. This fall, I transitioned over to Indigenous Affairs Ontario to focus my attention on the important and much-needed work to support Indigenous communities. Working with Indigenous communities has become an important part of both my professional and personal life for many years now, including the work we do at Seeds for Eco Communities. Working in government has provided me with many lessons, much professional growth, and establishment of many partnerships, and I'm very thankful for the opportunities I have had, including in leadership roles. For me, however, I felt like there was something more that could be done to help with the many pressures our planet is currently facing. On a personal note, leading up to the birth of Seeds for Eco Communities, I was also facing some health issues myself that provided a great gift. It provided time to reflect and value what is really important to do while we walk on this earth. This led me to 2015. At the guidance of one of my First Nations elders, I began developing a plan on what exactly I wanted to do to help save Mother Earth. This plan, once developed, needed legs, and it was determined that the best vehicle to move forward was through the establishment of a not-for-profit organization. Hence, in 2016, Seeds for Eco Communities was born.
Now, I find the term sustainable living very interesting. So for our listeners, if you could give us more insight into understanding sustainable living and the term eco-communities. What do they stand for? What do they mean? And how can the community benefit from living sustainably and living consciously?
Sustainable living from an environmental perspective is how we can have a lighter footprint on Mother Earth. So from my perspective, it's thinking about all elements of your life, your activities, where you go, what you eat, what you do for work, and what type of house you live in. And then thinking about how each of these elements of your life take from or contribute to the health of our planet. Similarly, eco-communities are also defined in different ways as you travel around the world. One thing for sure is that they are all very unique. Many carry common principles on sustainable living, and they each have their own special interests, character, and unique design. At Seeds for Eco Communities, we define an eco-community as a group of like-minded people living together in harmony with their surrounding environment, sharing tools and resources to protect the earth for future generations. As mentioned, the scope and scale of an eco-community will differ as you move around to different geographies, as will the type of buildings that exist. This is largely driven by the local climate and the local laws in that region. At Seeds for Eco Communities, the concept of long-term sustainability is an important one, hence the reference to future generations. Eco-communities often accommodate a variety of permanent residents from young to old, and the reason for this is to allow for that knowledge transfer on a healthy way of life into the future.
Now, all over the world, we are seeing housing prices going up. Real estate is going up, and not a lot of young people can afford buying homes and are living on rent or are living out of their truck. There are many other terms such as net zero and low carbon footprint that are used by the media and by the government. What do you think about these terms, and in reference to sustainable housing, what do they mean? If you could give us more insight.
Sure, and you're right, Aparna. There are a number of buzzwords around sustainable buildings that exist and some new ones that are emerging, each with their own unique scope. So let's have a look at these. When we talk about green home, this is a looser term that, again, is very subjective to the personal opinion. But typically, green homes include buildings that are built to be environmentally sustainable, often including smaller physical size, use of high-efficiency appliances, and/or are powered by green energy, such as solar or wind. Passive homes are structures that are built with nature in mind. These types of homes require less power as they maximize use of the sun and their surrounding environment to support heating and cooling. Now let's look at off-grid. These are buildings that are independent of public utilities. So what exactly does that mean? So if you live in a municipality, you would not rely on water or electricity distribution systems for your home. Net zero. This is a home which generates as much or more energy than it uses. This means that it has no needs from the grid. Carbon neutral is a term that can apply to a building or even an activity. It is when we build or do something that creates carbon emissions, and we offset these emissions, often with a fee, so that our building or activity can be considered quote-unquote carbon neutral. Low footprint is another common term that we hear about, and it looks at the building and all of its contents, and you need to think about their footprints from cradle to grave. So this includes the energy needed to extract, develop, and deliver the item to you, as well as considerations on its transportation for disposal and breakdown back into the earth. So when you ask about looking for that gold star in sustainability, I believe your best bet is a net zero home that is likely built with a lot of passive home design features that have a minimal disruption to the earth. Net zero homes can help to curb the carbon emissions that come from our housing sector, which is very important in our ever-growing world.
Now, with the growing population and limited resources, sustainable housing or living consciously, sharing resources within the community, being able to reach out to, your neighbors, to people all around you and connecting might be the solution to a bigger problem, which is definitely, the challenges we are facing around the world, but also on an emotional level, being able to connect with people. So I guess sustainable living has many different benefits. Now, with rapid industrialization, Laura, and increasing global temperatures, rising sea levels, who is going to be paying the price for climate change?
The Earth is really home to us all, regardless of race, culture, political, or financial status. We are already seeing and experiencing the impacts to some degree in our lives of a changing climate. This was made abundantly clear over the past few years as we faced the COVID pandemic. We all saw the videos and pictures of how the environment rebounded with just a glimpse in time to rest from the planes, trains, automobiles, and the usual human busyness. However, it is not about us, the people now. This impact reaches far beyond. It affects the animals, the plants, the soil, and the overall balance for all that exists. Those who will really be paying the price are our future generations. Even if we make drastic changes today, impacts from climate change will be felt many years from now. These youth also have a heavy load on their shoulders, with the responsibility that many feel to be leaders in helping to protect Mother Earth.
When we come back from a musical break, we will continue our conversation with Ms. Laura Blease. Thank you for listening to Communal Living on 96.7 FM.